The decision matrix separates decisions into 4 possibilities: irreversible and inconsequential, irreversible and consequential, reversible and inconsequential, and reversible and consequential. The great thing about the matrix is that it can help you quickly delegate decisions. Any type of inconsequential decision, that's any decision below this line, can be delegated to someone else. The time you save here isn't really on the making of the decision, it's the 30 minutes a day someone spends presenting you a problem so you can make the decision. These decisions provide a great training ground for someone else to develop their decision-making chops and will save you loads of time each week not being bogged down in decisions like what kind of Keurig cup should be brought in for the office. Consequential and reversible and irreversible decisions, on the other hand, are a different beast. A good rule of thumb is to make reversible decisions as quickly as possible and irreversible decisions as late as possible. The reason for this is pretty simple. Reversible, consequential decisions, those are the decisions in this part of the matrix, are great for running experiments and gathering information. Say you work at a media company and a writer wants to launch a new column. They have the bandwidth and obviously the company has the resources, but in most bureaucratic environments, the writer might have to present a pitch to some decision maker in a meeting. This requires gathering information about why it's needed and maybe how much advertising revenue the new column could bring in.
I did the figures and it can generate millions of dollars in revenue.
Those things are helpful, but they're also a waste of time and slow things down. Dragging your feet is just costing you more resources and energy. That decision is largely reversible. It's still consequential, it matters, it's an important thing to focus and work on, but if it doesn't work out in a few months, the writer can just stop publishing in that column, no questions asked. Trying to have all of these meetings beforehand just slow the entire organization down and stifle innovation. Now, I have to say, just because you make the decision fast doesn't mean you have to be ill-informed and reckless. That's just not very smart. Instead, what fast decision-making often describes is one's ability to decide without all the relevant information. Often, when you're presented with a decision, you don't know everything about it, so you start to gather information and do some research on it. This process can take a long time, and that's okay, but that is what slows decisions down. It's people trying to get other people all on the same page. Fast decision makers understand that this is truly impossible. You can't have all the relevant information because the waters are just too murky. It doesn't work. So instead of spending an extra quarter trying to figure out a plan, fast decision makers make a decision with a lot of uncertainty, knowing that whatever happens can easily be undone. Now, I have to say this real quick. Most decisions are reversible. Seldom are any truly irreversible, but some have a much higher cost to reversing them than others, and that's the key. As the cost to reverse the decision increases, the reversibleness of the decision decreases. Now, consider on the other hand that your media company is wanting to acquire another media company. So starting a new column can be easily stopped, but selling off a company that is no longer making money after you hastily acquired it is much harder. So that's what makes this decision consequential and irreversible. These are the most important types of decisions that you make. It's important to note at this point, we've eliminated pretty much 75% of decisions already. Anything inconsequential has been delegated. Anything reversible and consequential should just be decided on, and if it doesn't work out, just undo that decision. All of that time spent saved thinking about those decisions can now be invested into the consequential, irreversible ones. These types of decisions are the most important because often making the right decision solves a lot of other problems, and making the wrong decisions causes a lot more. For example, if you choose a great career in a city that you love, questions like where to live and how are you going to take care of your family are essentially solved for you already. That's the beauty of spending extra time on these decisions. While it's good to spend time thinking and gathering information on big decisions so you can decide as late as possible, it's hard to know when that late as possible actually is. And for that, we have 3 things to look out for. It's called stop, flop, or no. The first one is stop, and this describes that you should stop and make the decision when you stop gathering information. most likely you stop gathering information because there just isn't any more information to be gathered. In that moment, just make the decision. We can often fool ourselves into a perpetual state of information gathering, thinking that we're doing the right thing, when in reality, we're just delaying a big, tough decision. So as soon as you realize there isn't any new information you can have, make the decision. The next one is flop, and this stands for your first lost opportunity. As soon as an opportunity is about to expire, you have to make the decision then. Let's say you have the chance to invest in a company. Maybe since you're new to investing, you try to do as much research and gather as much information as possible. And even though you're still gathering relevant information, so you haven't hit that stop point yet, the funding round is about to close, and after that, you won't be able to invest anyway. This would be your first lost opportunity. So before that happens, that's when you should decide what to do. Make the decision. Finally, make the decision when you know what to do. Sometimes you just kind of know what to do. Whether it's through analysis or a gut feeling, you just know the decision to make. Once this happens, make the decision. Let me crush a myth that sometimes people believe. You do not need to spend an equal amount of time on every decision you make. With the decision matrix in hand, speed up the decisions that don't matter and spend as much time possible on the ones that do. That's how all great decision makers operate. If you're curious to learn more about decision making as a practice, sign up for our Brain Food newsletter. Every week, we share some timeless advice and actionable insights that you can use and work in life. Plus, you'll be notified when we launch our Decision by Design course, one of our favorite projects to work on every year. If you learned something from this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more content.